get this out of the way so you can see the shaving horse. Right. So this is a modern shaving horse. Clearly it's made out of hardware store dimensional lumber. You know, it's a 2x10 and 2x4s. So the basic construction idea is, let's move this up to show you. Start off with the legs. So take a 2x4 and cut this trapezoid shape. Cut that out. You want to cut 4 of these pieces and then 4 legs. And the angle at the top and bottom of the legs should be cut to the same angle on this trapezoid. And then so you're going to have one trapezoid on the front of the legs and then one on the back. And so you get this bipod with flared out legs. And you're going to make 2 of those bipods that you then attach your bench seat to. And this bench seat, it's just a 2x10 that I cut a length off of. And so one of those lengths that I cut off became this sloped ramp. The other, a little, probably about 6-inch section, became this spacer that holds it up. And then it's just a couple screws through the top here, you know, front and back. There's a couple screws in from the bottom. The bench seat screwed down there. And these arms, I've actually made these arms 15 years ago, and they have been attached to just about every shaving horse I've made, with various changes and improvements over the years. Like, I'll remake this bar every now and then, I'll remake the foot bar every now and then.
And I noticed that this is triangular here.
Yeah, so this rotates, and I've got different shapes on here. Like, if I have just something real big and beefy, you know, I've got these holes on the side so I can adjust how much space I have between this bar and the ramp. And so I can set it down with a flat side against a piece of wood stock that I'm cutting. I've got this kind of more rounded edge. I've got a actually this is the rounded edge. So I've got 2 rounded edges.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then I've got one very sharp pointed edge. Like, if I've got a piece that's getting real slick because I've been carving it, I'll rotate it to get that pointed edge down. So I minimize the amount of contact, which focuses more pressure onto the piece that I'm cutting, that really help pinch that in there good and tight.
So I need to build one of these myself, and I think the only part that's really going to give me trouble is this hole right here where this bar passes through. First of all, I don't have a bit long enough to get through. You know, this is a 10-inch board. I don't have a bit that long, so I'm going to have to work that out. But what I'm really curious about is, how did you make sure that this is level and even in both dimensions all the way through?
So the way that you do that, well, one, you do need a bit that's long enough to clear all the way through. But start off with just take a square and draw a line straight across. And so that you can kind of sight along that line to make sure, you know, for left and right that you're in alignment. And then the hard part becomes, you know, you're panning up or down.
Right.
One thing that can help with that is get like a small little line level that you could just kind of hold up next to the drill bit. Because these longer drill bits, the modern drill bits, which I'm going to recommend for making a shaving horse.
Yeah.
Usually the front portion of the drill bit is fluted, and then it's just a smooth shank all the way back.
Right.
Unless you're using a real heavy-duty drill bit called like a ship auger, which is a real aggressive bite to it. Probably more aggressive than you're going to want for here. That's meant for drilling through like gate posts.
Yeah, sure.
So you're going to draw your line, and you're going to start off drilling, and where's this guy? Yes, thank you. So, not using this, I just want to show this as an example.
Right.
So, you're going to, for check left and right, make sure that matches up with that line.
Okay.
And then you're just going to have to kind of sight it as best as you can for your up and down. And so, mark the center of your board here, mark your center of the board on the other side. And you'll start going in maybe about halfway or so. And then you're going to come to the other side and meet those 2 holes in the center. And that's why it's real important to follow that center line that you follow, because these have to match up as close as possible.
Right.
Fortunately, what's going to happen is these 2 holes aren't going to meet perfect. They're going to do something like that or that. They're going to kind of be misaligned a little bit.
Right.
But so starting off, if you went all the way across, you might come out the top, you might come out the bottom.
Exactly.
But if you
that's why I was so curious about it.
But if you come out from both sides and meet in the middle, what you can then do is take your drill bit, and most longer drill bits have a little bit of flex to them. So it's going to start off on that one path, and then it's going to find that other hole, and it's going to flex up that hole. And so then you just kind of ream it back and forth. Like if you've ever used a ramrod and a cleaning patch to clean out the barrel of a firearm,
Right.
you know, it's that same motion. You're just going to go sweep it back and forth, and that will actually cause those two holes to align to put that pin through. So the inside might not be the prettiest, but what you care about is where the bar comes out at the end.
See that part.
Yeah.
So
That part's not seen. And then another thing I always recommend with a shaving horse, go get yourself a sheepskin. Put this down, because you are going to get very sore sitting on this bench, because you're not just casually sitting on it, you are putting force on it. And the harder you're pushing with your feet and pulling back with a draw knife, the harder you're forcing your own self into the bench. And you want a cushion.
Yeah.
You are going to want a cushion. And conveniently enough, this I bought from IKEA.
I love IKEA.
Yeah,
sheepskins.
it just like that, same that size, that dimension. It even had this nice flat square edge at the front, so I can put that right up against the
IKEA used
slope.
to sell. It was like 4 large sheepskins sewn together for like $80 or something. And during cold nights in a canvas tent, those things are invaluable.
I think I bought this about 5 years ago. I paid $30.
Yeah, sure.
Versus what I had been using. This is the sheepskin I had been using, where it's got a shorter nap. It's a larger skin, but it's got a shorter nap to it.
Yeah.
And I paid like $100 for this.
Yeah.
And I actually prefer the $30 skin.
Right.
Yeah. Other thing that you could do, I haven't done it on this bench, but take a spoke shave, not your draw knife, a spoke shave, and kind of chamfer these edges right here. Your thigh is going to cut into that corner, and you will be sore by the end of the day. That's something I still need to do on this bench. So for your sidearms, in this case, it's literally just 2 pieces of 3x1 pine from the hardware store that are glue laminated with, you know, holes drilled out top, bottom, and center. Just super easy to make.
When you say glue lamination, you just mean that they're wood glue together and then...
Yeah.
Okay.
That's simple. You don't have to. I did that specifically because that just worked out for the dimensions I was going.
Yeah, right.
But you could just as easily grab a 2x3.
It's supposed to be stronger than...
It can be. Typically, the glue lam being stronger is when you have the grains don't line up.
Okay, yeah.
But in this case, that wouldn't actually provide me much benefit because of the direction of torque on it. So and this is the style of shaving horse I like. This style it's actually for coopering. So coopering, you know, think making barrels or staves.
Okay.
So this is basically a stave cutter's shaving horse. There's another style you'll see more frequently where it's got one bar that comes up through the middle and then a big block of wood on top called a dumb head.
Would you call me?
No, that's actually what the piece is called. Instead of this bar in the center, it has a single block called a dumb head.
I see.
And that dumb head comes back in pinches. That actually gives you a lot more tension on a piece of wood. In part because of the different shape, you actually get more leverage on the foot pedal.
Oh, okay.
But then you also have to deal with the nonsense of clearing out your channel or your mortise for that piece to go through. It's honestly a personal preference. I prefer this myself.
Yeah. This also seems like it's easier to make.
It is. It is easier to make. But I guess when you're doing that other style, it's not terribly much easier because it's not that hard to cut a hole through a 2x10.
That's fair, yeah.
It's when I'm making this a shaving horse out of a single log where I've carved this, that's when it becomes a pain.
Right.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah. Hey, tell you what. Curious?
Sure.
See how you like it? Just if you want to get a feel for that.
Yeah.
Or your sword hilt might be in the way there. There you go.
That really holds it on there. This would have been very helpful for that tent that I just built.
Yeah, I saw your posting about working on the tent with cutting the poles down with a round fixture at the end.
Yeah.
I was curious how you did that because I know you don't have a shaving horse.
I did it like this.
All right, so safety, don't do
right,
that.
Yeah, correct.
I've cut myself a number of times with a draw knife, and every time I've cut myself with a draw knife, it's when I was using something other than a shaving horse.
Exactly. Yes, well, I survived, amazingly.
I'm glad for that. Thank you.
Very cool. Gotta get me one of these.
It's super easy to make.
Yeah,
and
it's on my list.
It's probably a $30 project.
Yeah. Oh.
All right, so yeah, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Glad you could make it.
Oh God.
Let's check.
You still there?